What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in another episode of the Squiddy's Fantastic Ultimate Sprite Guide. So today we're just going to go over some very basic combos, the very bare bones combos. We're starting off with the swap frog only combo. So let's say we have swap frog and open 4 other hand traps. What we're going to do right away is normal summon the swap frog. By the way, the zones do kind of matter in this deck, especially when you're comboing. Generally, you want to special summon monsters to the zones 2 and 4 to start off with. And then have Sprite Red always in one of these ones, either the middle or, either side. Just because Sprite Elf does happen to point in either here or here, if that makes sense. So we're going to summon Swap Frog, dump the Ronin Totem using the special ability. We're going to link off into the Almirage right away. This is where Almirage is super useful because we are able to trigger the Ronin Totem by banishing the Swap Frog. We're going to link off immediately, having a level 2 and a non-level 2 monster in Sprite Elf. Revive back the Ronin Totem, and now we have 2 level 2s, so we can make Gigantic, use the effect of Gigantic. There are a couple of things you can do here. Number 1, we could special summon another copy of Swap Frog, Foolish, the 3rd copy of Swap Frog, Banish for Ronin Totem, because it's not once per turn, and then we can overlay the on-field swap that we special summoned off of Gigantic, as well as Ronin Totem, into Totally Awesome. So we have Totally Awesome and Gigantic Sprite. If you do play Dupe Frog on their standby, you can special summon Dupe Frog. So we just automatically have, an Omni Negate that also adds back a water monster when it's sent to the graveyard as recursion. But personally, I think this is just a better moment to tap into your Sprite engine just because it is way better follow-up, as well as being able to have the same number of negates. Mind you, it's not going to be Omni, but Sprite Red negating monster effects is almost just as impactful. So obviously it depends on the matchup, but I'm going to go ahead here and special summon the blue, use the effect of blue because it was special summoned to add a copy of Jet, and then special summon the Jet immediately. So here again, you can do one of 2 things. If you are playing against a deck like mine, for example, maybe you want to search Smashers instead. Then you have Smashers as your one interruption. We can use these 2 to link off into a Sprite Elf. So we have Elf, Gigantic, and Smashers. And Elf could revive back either blue or Jet on your opponent's turn as follow-up. But generally, let's say you're going into a blind matchup, I think just having red is a lot more important. So we're just going to use this to add Sprite Starter. We're going to activate the Sprite Starter to special summon the red from deck. And now you have Sprite Red. You can link off Jet and Blue into the Elf. Obviously, we cannot use the effect because we've already used it earlier in this combo. But now we can pass on this. So we have Sprite Red for negate. We have Sprite Elf on my opponent's turn to special summon back either of these for follow-up. And we have Gigantic Sprite on the field, which is super relevant because Sprite Red can send the Gigantic to negate the effect and destroy the monster that we're negating, and neither of these can be targeted. Gigantic Sprite is level as 3200 as well. So yeah, this is a cool first little combo here. Yeah. Okay, the second combo here is just with Diva or like Beaver, for example, if you happen to play that. It's fairly straightforward. We are going to go for the Toad combo here because this does sequence into a double Toad negate pretty easily. We're going to go Diva, special summon the 2nd copy of Diva. We're going to overlay these 2 for Gigantic Sprite and clasp our hands together to pray that they don't have Ghost Ogre. We're going to use the effect. It does resolve, which is nice. Special summon out. Again, you can special summon out the Sprite engine here, similar to what I showed you guys in the last combo with Ronin Totem, and go full Sprite combo without having used Elf yet. So you can actually go into the full Sprite combo and either search Smashers, or you can actually make Elf and make IP by reviving that. So you get Red, Elf, and IP. So you also have 2 negates, but generally I like this one a little better just because Toad is an Omni negate, and being able to have the Toad into the graveyard gives you Ronin Totem follow-up that you can banish frogs on your next turn. But again, it does depend on the matchup that you're playing. If your opponent is playing something like a lot of Floodgates or something, maybe you do want the Smashers instead. But again, this is just theoretical. There are a couple of different lines that you can make. But we're going to go right here into the generic Toad play. So we have Totally Awesome Sprite Elf. Obviously, we can detach to summon a Dupe Frog or another copy of Swap during their standby phase. And then on the main phase, we can negate something. When they do have a monster, we can target this using Elf to revive it back. So you have 2 Omni negates. Again, the other sprite combo would allow you to access your sprite engine to have red, sprite elf, and IP Masquerena. But let's say we had 4 hand traps and diva. Obviously, IP doesn't really make sense there because we don't want to discard a hand trap for unicorn. Obviously, already having, the hand trap to do the exact same thing. So if we have this, we have 1, 2, and then with 4 hand traps, we have 6 negates, as opposed to having IP, which would invalidate itself with a red, which would only mean 5 negates. So the 4 hand traps plus the red. So yeah, this is a generic combo. Okay, last little combo, or second last I want to show you guys is with Sprite Jet and Sprite Blue. A lot of people are wondering, like, what do you summon first? It does actually matter. So watch, I summon Jet here first because what actually happens is if we get an extra body by doing this. So I special summon Blue. I'll show you guys what I mean. I use the effect of Blue to add another copy of Jet, and then I can special summon this Jet to trigger the effect. And what happens here is if I add Smashers, let's say, for example, it's game 2. I want to play around Dark Ruler against like Tier Elements or something. So I'm going to add Smashers. If I add Smashers here, I actually have 3 bodies. But if I went normal summon Sprite Blue, special summon Sprite Jet, I can't actually get the additional body. Because if I normal summon Blue, special Jet, add Smasher, I'm left with 2 sprites on the board. As opposed to this, in this scenario, if I search Smashers, I have 3 bodies on the board, if that makes sense. So to kind of show you guys what I mean, if I go like this, normal summon Blue, special summon Jet, and I use Jet's effect to add Smasher, well, now I only have the 2 bodies on the board. So this kind of sucks because I'm down a body. Whereas in the first combo, I normal summon Jet, special Blue, special Jet, add to Smashers, I have 3 bodies, if that makes sense. But if you do this line and you're absolutely sure that you're searching the starter instead of Smasher, it doesn't really matter. And in addition to this, you actually do pay 100 less life points because you use starter to special summon Blue, which adds red, as opposed to special summoning the red directly from your deck. If that does happen to matter, the 100 life points in time. So again, in the first combo, obviously normal summoning Jet, special summoning Jet. Generally, you do want to play around Nibiru, so we are going to go ahead and activate, add the starter to activate, and then special summon the red, which is obviously always a good thing. And from here, we can just do our generic combo. We're protected from hand traps as well as Nibiru because we do have the red on board with the additional Jet body to tribute to negate anything. And from here, I generally just, it's no-brainer, it's just summon Swap Frog, go into Ronin. We link these 2 off. Again, placement does matter, guys. You always want to have your red in the corner because Elf will be pointing to it. And then you want the other space free, so when you summon the Totally Awesome, it can also point to Sprite Elf, so it cannot be targeted by something like an Imperm or a Forbidden Chalice. So, careful about your placements. Sprite Elf will revive back the Swap Frog, we'll dump the other Swap Frog, and then we can banish that for Ronin Totem. So here we have a nice little board in that we get the Totally Awesome, we have a Sprite Elf, we have an Sprite Red that can also tribute this Gigantic Sprite to destroy whatever it's negating as well. Obviously this being a rank monster. And then on their standby phase, we can also detach this to summon either Dupe Frog or another copy of Swap Frog, which presents another body for a Sprite Red to either tribute or just more fuel for Ronin Totem in general. So yeah, that's about it for the combos, guys. These are the basic combos. Next video, I'm going to show you guys some more advanced combos. We're going to talk about how to play around certain hand traps, what to do in an optimal game 1, game 2, game 3 situation, stuff like that. So definitely check that out.